trash, where leadership meets grit, safety, and real conversations from the front lines. Here's your host, Tommy Lynn.
Welcome back to Just a Girl Talking Trash. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Tommy Lynn, and I am so glad that you are here with me listening to another episode. This episode is titled Never Stop Being Teachable. And whether you are right now behind the wheel of a truck, you could be walking a landfill or through a transfer station. Maybe you're in your office getting ready for the day or at a construction site, or you could just be sitting home relaxing, having a cup of coffee. Again, thank you for spending some of your time with me. Today's episode is one that I believe can change the way your leadership is if you are willing to embrace it. I want to start by asking you a simple question. When was the last time you changed your mind about something? Right? Now, I want you to think about it, not because someone forced you to, not because you had to, but because you learned something new. As leaders, one of the greatest dangers we face isn't our lack of experience. It is believing that our experience means we no longer have anything left to learn, right? The day that we stop learning, regardless of how long you have been in the industry, is the day that we stop leading. I've had the privilege of working alongside some of the most incredible leaders throughout my career. People with decades of experience, people with years of experience beyond mine, and people who have just seen about everything this industry could throw at them. And do you know what the best of them all had in common? They never acted as though they knew everything. They asked questions, they listened, they sought advice, they welcomed different perspectives. They understood something that every great leader eventually learns. Leadership isn't about proving how much you know, it's about continuing to learn what you don't know, right? One of the greatest lessons I've learned in my own career is this: experience is valuable. But experience without humility can become very dangerous. We've all met those leaders. Some of you may be dealing with them right now. The ones who begin every sentence with, well, I've been doing this for X amount of years. Maybe they have, but 15, 20, 30 years of experience doesn't automatically mean it was that many years of growth. Sometimes it's 1 year of experience repeated 15 times, 20 times, 30 times. Growth only happens when we are willing to learn, when we're willing to admit we don't have all of the answers. It is okay to not have all of the answers. And you do not have to say, I don't have the answer. You can always just say, let me look into that. Let me get back to you. When we're willing to say that, when we are willing to also say, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about it that way. There is strength in that, not weakness. Real confidence isn't pretending that you know everything. Real confidence is being secure enough to keep learning. I believe one of the greatest leadership qualities is being teachable, because teachable leaders Build teachable teams. If your employees see you asking questions, if they see you admitting to mistakes, they will be more willing to admit to theirs. If they see you learning, they'll understand that growth never stops, regardless of how old you are or how long you've been in the industry. Leadership sets the standard. Whether we realize it or not, people are watching us every single day. They're watching how we respond when someone disagrees with us. They're watching how we react when we make a mistake. They're watching whether we listen, really listen. Are we listening or are we just listening to answer? No, we need to listen to understand. And they're watching to see if we will wait for our turn to speak or do we cut them off mid sentence? One lesson I've learned over the years is this: you don't have to have an opinion about everything. Sometimes the most powerful thing a leader can say is, tell me more. That is leadership. Listening isn't a weakness, listening is wisdom. Some of the best decisions I've ever made didn't come because I was the smartest person in the room. I've learned that some of the newest employees can teach us something. Operators can teach supervisors. Drivers can teach supervisors. Mechanics can teach operations. Drivers can teach managers. Leadership isn't about where good ideas come from. Leadership is about recognizing good ideas when they appear. Another lesson I've had to learn, and honestly, if we're being honest, I'm still learning, is controlling my emotions at times. Leadership can be frustrating. There will be days when people disappoint you, when equipment breaks down, when schedules fall apart, when nothing seems to be going according to plan. And in those moments, people aren't just watching what decisions you make, they're watching how you make it. I've learned that reacting is easy, right? That was one of my biggest struggles very early on, was that I was quick to react. And one of my greatest mentors in my career, who I spoke with about this, said, I want you to do something. I want you to take 5 seconds. Do not react. You need to be able to respond. And I have taken that one sentence that he gave me, that single sentence of advice, and I have used it throughout the remainder of my career, still to this day, because responding takes discipline. Anyone can lose their temper. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can blame someone else. But composure, that is leadership. There has even been times that I've had to respond to an email and I will wait. I will wait a day, maybe two. And another one of my great mentors said, don't respond. Sit on it. Give it a day. Let your emotions dissipate and answer with a clear mind. This is all great advice. But had I not wanted to be teachable, had I not want to learn more, had I not been willing to take feedback and advice, I would still be making the same mistakes that I did starting out. One calm leader can steady an entire team. One emotional leader can create chaos. And trust me, I know this firsthand because we had a very emotional manager who led by his emotions. And it was like a roller coaster ride because you never knew what mood he was going to be in. So you never knew his leadership style because it was based off of his emotions. And it was chaos. It was complete chaos. It felt chaotic. I've also learned this: the value of silence. How many of you can relate to that? Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every disagreement needs an argument. Sometimes, sometimes the strongest leader in the room is the one who's willing to listen before speaking. Silence gives us time to think. Silence also gives them, the person who is speaking, time to reflect on what they just said. It also gives us time to understand. And sometimes it prevents us from saying something we will later regret. Another lesson I hope I never stop practicing is seeking counsel. No matter how much experience you have, build relationships with leaders that you respect. Still to this day, I still do this to this day. And I have relationships with leaders that I have met throughout my career in this industry that I still seek counsel from to this day. I value their opinion. I value their input because I know that they've been through it. I know they've already been down this road. So I'm asking them for guidance. I ask them for their opinion on certain things. Find people who know more than you. Seek them out, network, build relationships. You must build relationships. No, I've never met someone that said, no, I don't want to mentor you. No, I don't want to be a mentor. Most people, most leaders, good leaders, are more than happy to assist you and to mentor you and to help you become better. Because again, what they want to leave behind is a legacy. Be curious, ask questions, and stay humble. I've been incredibly fortunate to learn from leaders who had decades more of experience than I did. And one thing they all had in common was this: they themselves were still learning. They still asked questions. They would even ask questions to the frontline team for ideas, for feedback. We used to have roundtables. I'm sure a lot of you may have this yourself, where you have a roundtable, you meet with your frontline team, a group of them, and you collaborate. You ask for ideas, you ask for feedback. Safety is huge right now in this industry. They're the ones out there. Ask them. I'm sure they can provide insight that we may have overlooked. But great leaders still attend training, they still ask questions, they want feedback. And that taught me something that I will never forget. The best leaders are always students. So I want to challenge you with something today. Think about your last conversation with someone on your team. Did you spend more time talking or listening? Did you walk away having learned something? Or were you simply waiting for your opportunity to speak? There are some times that I attend meetings and I don't say anything at all. And it's not because I'm not, I don't value the meeting. It's because I feel that I don't have anything valuable to say during the meeting. So I just stay silent. I listen. I take it in. I take notes. I listen to whatever it is about what they have to say. And if I don't feel that I have something relevant and valuable to add to that meeting, then I will just stay silent. I don't need to talk just to talk. Sometimes the greatest lesson in leadership is realizing you don't have to be the smartest voice in the room. You just have to create an environment where the best ideas can be heard, and thank them for their idea. Thanks for telling me that. That is a really great idea. That's what you say. Thank you. First, I also want you, before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with 3 challenges. Okay. First, listen, control your emotions. Don't let frustration make decisions for you. I want you to just do that this week. Try it. Second, I want you to practice mastering the art of listening. Seek first to understand before trying to be understood. And third, this is the third one I'm going to leave you with. Okay. Never stop learning. Read books, attend training, find mentors, ask questions, Be willing to change your mind when new information is presented because leadership isn't a destination, it is a lifelong commitment to growth. And I'll leave you with this thought and then we're done. The day you believe you've learned everything is the day your leadership begins to decline. The greatest leaders I've ever known all had one thing in common. They remained students. No matter their title, no matter their experience, no matter their success, they never have stopped learning. So, again, remember the three things that we're going to do this week. And thank you for spending part of your day with me because I truly appreciate it. And if today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you of something you needed to hear, I hope you will share it with another great leader because when leaders continue to learn, teams continue to grow, organizations become stronger, and people become better. So until next time, lead with humility, lead with integrity, lead with heart, and above all, never stop being teachable. I'll see you on the next episode of Just a Girl Talking Trash.